Are you one of those players that only relies on the lob to counterattack, or perhaps are you an advanced player and you are starting to face opponents with really strong overheads? In today's video, I'm gonna show you one of the shots that completely changed my game, and I'm gonna show you why it can change your game too. Spoiler, this is not an easy shot, so if you're a beginner, I don't recommend you trying it. And even if you are an advanced player, it is really easy to mess things up with this shot and lose the point straight away. So be careful. This shot is the Chiquita, and we're gonna start with the basic question. What is a Chiquita? Well, we have to think that it's like a drop shot, but that we play it from the back. Not entirely, because a drop shot, we would be at the net, my opponent would be at the back, and I want them to bring them close to the net. Here, my opponent is at the net, I'm at the back, and I'm gonna play that type of shot from the back of the court with the whole idea of giving myself and my partner time to get to the net. Two key things that we need to take into account in this shot. We want to take advantage of the fact that my opponent is going to be playing below net level. Okay, so he's going to have to lift the ball up. And second, it's extremely important that me and my partner, we go to the net while the ball is in the air. We need to take the most out of that time. In the tactical whiteboard, it would look something like this. My opponents are at the net, me and my partner, we're at the back. I play this short shot, and while the ball is on the air, me and my partner, we're gonna move to the net, and the next shot, we're gonna be attacking. So we can play either fast to the body, or we can just play down to the spaces that we're gonna see on the other court. Okay, now we know what is the Chiquita, and now I'm gonna explain why it is really important that we play it. And in order to do so, we're gonna go to the other side of the court so that we imagine what's happening in the opponent's perspective, okay? So imagine I'm this player that is at the net. If I'm playing against someone that is never playing the Chiquita, which means that they're never using this space in front of me, it's extremely hard for them to play a good lob that goes to the back without giving me the possibility of hitting an overhead. Why do I say this? Because if I'm playing against someone that is never using this space, I'm simply gonna take a few steps back whenever I see that they can play a lob, and I'm gonna be ready to play a really good overhead. So, from the other perspective, it's really important that from time to time you force me to get this ball, and now you have more space at the back to play that lob. In the tactical whiteboard, it would look like this. I'm at the back, my opponents are at the net, and what I was saying is that if these players, they see that I'm never taking advantage of these spaces, what they're gonna do is simply, they're gonna take a few steps back, and whenever I play the lob, it's gonna be really easy for them to get here. So, it's extremely important that we are able to use both spaces, the one in front of them and the one behind them. So, with the same preparation, I have to show that I'm able to play the Chiquita and the lob, so that this guy has to wait to see if he has to move forward or backwards after I hit and not before I hit. And before I tell you how to play this shot and we dive into the technique to play the Chiquita, I'm gonna tell you the two situations that I prefer to play this shot. But before I say this, remember to like and subscribe if you are enjoying the content that we are sharing with you today. So, what I was saying, when is the best time to play the Chiquita? There are more situations than the two that I'm gonna explain right now, but I recommend that you start with these two. The first one is when my opponent plays, for example, a bad overhead and I'm allowed to play above waistline, okay? So in this situation, it's a good moment to prepare high, to slice, push, and you're gonna get to the net because your opponent is forced to play below the net. And the other situation where it's usually good to play the Chiquita is when my opponent plays a bad volley that generates a lot of rebounds, and in this occasion I can use the glass to play that shot and get to the net. Remember, in this shot, it's extremely important that I'm showing that I can play the lob or the Chiquita, okay? But remember, my opponent cannot know till the end. So this is the first example that we mentioned. My opponent plays a really bad ball that bounces quite high. I can play that ball with a slice and take advantage of the fact that he has to lift the ball up because he's playing below net level. And as you saw, I'm running while the ball is on the air. And this is the second situation that I mentioned. My opponent plays a really bad volley that I'm allowed to play off the glass. I play that shot and I can come to a net to win the point in exactly the same way as we explained in the first example. So we're gonna jump into the technique of the first example. Here, remember that usually happens when the guy in front of me plays a bad overhead and it's pretty obvious that I'm gonna play in front of him and that I'm not gonna play a lob. So, important thing here, I'm gonna prepare my racket above the ball, okay? I'm gonna play with a slice and I'm gonna touch, and I'm not gonna finish down, I'm gonna touch and push to make sure that the ball goes over the net and then falls, okay? So it would look something like this. The ball bounces quite high and I push while I'm running to the net at the same time. Technique of the second example. Remember that here, the opponent play a bad volley and I can play off the glass. In this situation, it is really, really important that we have a neutral preparation and that from here my opponent cannot tell if I'm going low or I'm going high. So we have to take into account what the ball is gonna do. The ball is gonna bounce, touch the glass, and now it's gonna do this parabola. Important, in which point of this parabola do you think is the best moment to hit it? Well, the answer is when the ball has already dropped a bit, because from here it's much easier to play that Chiquita. When the ball is high, it's actually much harder. You can do it, but you need to have a really good touch. So remember, let it drop, get the racket below the ball, and from here simply push and go to the net. Key thing here, it is extremely important that you touch the ball when it's in front of you, for two reasons. Because when the ball is in front of you, it's effortless to get the ball to the other court. But when the ball is behind you, it is much harder. You actually rely on the wrist and you have to scoop the ball, which is not that easy. And also, remember that I want to hit and go to the net. So when the ball is in front of me, it's really easy to use the weight of my body to start running, but if I hit behind me, it's actually not that easy to hit and start running. It's gonna take me a while. So obviously, remember to keep the ball in front when you're hitting. As we said at the beginning of the video, it is really easy to mess things up with this shot. So now I'm gonna give you a couple of tips to minimize those mistakes. The first one is that when your opponent starts reading this shot, it is really dangerous. Because the moment you play this shot, if this guy is able to step in, he's gonna hit really close to the net and he's able to attack most of the times. So don't overuse the Chiquita, okay? It's a shot that you have to use to surprise your opponents from time to time, but you cannot constantly use it. And the tip number two is that if you are not used to play this shot, it is really common that the ball that you hit goes a bit too high, okay, and the opponent has time to take it. If the Chiquita is not good, don't come to a net, because obviously it is extremely easy for them to play down to your feet. If you see that the Chiquita that you played was not good, don't worry, it's fine. We stay at the back and we keep fighting. Okay, and we look for another opportunity. But remember, don't come to a net if the Chiquita is not good. And now we're gonna talk a bit about the tactics behind the Chiquita. But before I start, I really recommend that you watch the Padel Tactics series that we have on the Padel Drive channel before watching this part, because it's actually gonna help you understand a bit what's going on here. So, my opponents are at the net, I'm at the back, and I'm gonna play the Chiquita. First, what direction can I play to? The reality is that you can play to all the different directions. You can play down the line, you can play to the center, and you can play to the angle. Obviously, there are different advantages and disadvantages, but my main recommendation is take a look at what your opponent is doing. Because if this guy is faster than this guy, maybe you want to keep playing the Chiquita on this guy because he's taking forever to step in and he's always lifting the ball, okay? But the most important thing here is that after we play the Chiquita, we have to follow up. And how are we gonna follow up? So, for example, if we play to the first direction here, as soon as I play, I have to run to cover the center and my partner has to run really quickly to cover this space. Once we are in this situation, we are in a really strong position to win the point because this guy has almost no spaces to play and most likely he's gonna lose the point. If he's really good, what he's gonna try to do is step in quickly and he's gonna try to play to this direction before you get here, okay? So again, try to get here as quickly as you can because if you manage to get here in time, you're gonna close that space and this guy is in trouble. Option number 2 and number 3. Well, option number 3 could be the same, but on the other side, okay? I would run here, my partner would run to the center. And option number 2 is a bit more tricky because there are more spaces where my opponents can play. So option number 2, I have to run there and my partner has to run here. And if he's a good player, he's gonna try again to look for the spaces. So he's gonna play short, okay, to this corner, or to the center. And now is where the volley battle begins. So good luck and be ready to go really quick with your hands and with your feet. And the most important aspect on Padel Tactics when you play the Chiquita is that your partner goes to a net after you played. So, recommendation, send this video to your Padel partner so that you can start working better as a team. And by the way, I have chosen this Padel racket as our latest addition for the online Padel store. And why? Well, because I think it can work really well in the UK conditions for cold temperatures, because it has a really big sweet spot and it has a really good ball output. So, if you are a beginner or an intermediate player that is starting to play better, I think it can work really well for you. So, check it out. Thank you for watching and we will see you in the next one. ¡Vamos!